Hey, it's Eric G. Around the House is sponsored by Baldwin Hardware. For 75 years, Baldwin Hardware has been known for its first-class quality and craftsmanship in door and cabinetry hardware. As an alumnus of the Baldwin Hardware Design Council, I can say I have seen the details and quality from design to the finished product. If you're looking for a new style and old-world craftsmanship, I can tell you there is only one Baldwin Hardware. Check out what would look great in your home at baldwinhardware.com.
It's Around the House.
Brother?
Oh, sure. And this is, our sponsors are family members. And so really happy to introduce Jay Boitano. He runs Boitano Homes, and he's been a long sponsor of boat racing since 2013. And then...
10 years.
Yep, 10 years. There he is. And then Keith runs Gutters by Keith. And he's new to our sponsorship team. He's one of our Fantail sponsors, and really excited to have him on board. And I have a good feeling that he'll be with us another 10 too. So we'll see how that goes.
Well, it has already been a crazy racing season, and Brent, you've had struggles along the way. I think every team's had struggles this year already.
Yeah, it has been. And,
when it comes to remodeling and renovating your home, there is a lot to know, but we've got you covered. This is Around the House.
Welcome to the Around the House show. This is where we help you get the most out of your home through information and education. Thanks for joining us today. By the way, this episode is brought to you by Root Quencher and rootquencher.com. If you've got trees, shrubs, bushes, and you're wasting water when you're watering them or you want to cut it back, check out rootquencher.com. Those guys have spikes that put water right into the roots and not all over the top where it runs down the hill and doesn't end up where you want it to. If you want to save money, go to rootquencher.com. We've got a special episode because, in my area, Unlimited Hydroplane Racing's coming back to the Pacific Northwest. And even though this is a national sport, why not have Brent Hall and his team back on today? Brent, welcome to Around the House, my friend.
Oh, thank you. Glad to be back. We said we'd do this again. Let's roll.
Absolutely. And then there isn't racing without sponsors, and those are the guys that keep you out on the water every single week. You want to make the introduction since they're your team, brother?
Oh, sure. And this is, our sponsors are family members. And so really happy to introduce Jay Boitano. He runs Boitano Homes, and he's been a long sponsor of boat racing since 2013. And then...
10 years.
Yep, 10 years. There he is. And then Keith runs Gutters by Keith, and he's new to our sponsorship team. He's one of our Fantail sponsors, and really excited to have him on board. And I have a good feeling that he'll be with us another 10 too. So we'll see how that goes.
There you go. Well, it has already been a crazy racing season, and Brent, you've had struggles along the way. I think every team's had struggles this year already.
Yeah, it has been. And, when we talked last time, we talked about how competitive the boats are becoming. And, we've got 5 or 6 boats that can win at any time. And, boy, we're seeing it. The guys are duking it out. And, we've had a little bit of carnage from some of the last 2 races. But, boy, we sure are gearing up for Seafair. And, obviously, Tri-Cities is next. So we're going to bring a great...
Yeah, no question. And there's going to be a lot of boats. I like it. It seems like there's, we're seeing a bunch of boats out there, which always makes it competitive for everybody else. But I want to talk about, we've talked to you and we'll get more into your racing stuff before, but let's talk about sponsors here and how, Jay, Keith, how everybody else got involved here in racing. What was their inspirations?
Well, this is Jay Boitano. I grew up in Seattle, which was always been a hotbed for hydros. Mm-hmm. And when I grew up, my next door neighbor were the Stones, Milo and Glenn Stone. They owned this Excite.
Oh wow!
Back in the '60s, yeah. So when I grew up, they were racing hydros, and we were kind of involved with it. In fact, I was in the Torchlight Parade when I was about 9 years old, riding in their hydros, and this Excite throwing out pins.
Nice.
So we've been around it our whole life, and just like all other kids around here, growing up, towing behind your bike and that kind of thing. But in about 2012, I was sitting out in the captain's club over there watching the race with a good friend of mine, Nels Ainquist. And I said, well, what would it take for us to sponsor something out here? And he, through his little hydros that he raced, knew Brent Hall. And Brent got us in touch with our first team that we went with back in 2013. And then we've just pretty much done it every year since then. And last year we hit the lottery. We got done with strong racing, and we won the Seafair. So it was a great year.
Nice. That is great. That is great. And now Brent's getting ready to jump in a bright orange boat and hit the Pacific Northwest by storm.
And we're really excited about sponsoring Brent being out there. That'll be cool. So we can't wait for that to happen. It's going to be an exciting year.
Oh, yeah, it's going to be a great year. I see some, looks like probably decent weather. I don't want to jinx it, but things are looking good. And, fingers crossed, but I think we're looking good. And I think that just means great racing because, there's such history between Tri-Cities and Seattle as far as boat racing. I mean, it's just one of the originals, as I say.
Yeah. Yes, it is. And it's the Gold Cup this year. Make it even more important. More special.
There you go. There you go. All the stakes are on the table. Well, Keith, what got you excited here, man? What got you excited about racing?
Oh, well, when I was a kid, I grew up in Skyway in the 70s. And, we used to be able to hear the hydros from where we lived. When they were racing, you could hear them. And so I think they had different motors back then. But you could really hear them loud up there in Skyway. And, you'd see the Blue Angels. And I remember as kids, all the kids in the neighborhood, we'd make, out of plywood, we'd make hydroplanes, and nice. And then we'd tie them to the back of our bikes and we'd ride and, make turns, and the hydroplane would, but it was always a lot of fun. And I know my grandma was good friends with Chip Hanauer's mom, and she'd go down there, and I remember sitting on the water, sitting with her and stuff, and it's just really cool. And of course Jay Boitano's awesome, and he's involved, and so following Jay around.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And then, Jay, you're still out there. I mean, we had to drag you off a job site today because you're out there making your clients happy, but you're still building great homes out there, man.
Well, we're still building them. We're slowing down a little bit, but yeah, we're still going. And doing some spec homes and a little custom, but mostly spec homes. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah,
and Keith does all our gutters, has it for the last, I don't know how many, 30 years, 25, 30 years. So.
Yeah, over 3 decades.
There you go.
Yeah, yep. And his father and I are best friends, and we've been friends for 40 years too, so good connection.
No kidding. That's what family's about right there. I love it.
Exactly. And Brent Hall, he feels like family. He's been helping me get through all these sponsorships the last 10 years, and now we're sponsoring him in the hydro. So it's probably the most exciting we've had this year. So.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Brent, let's talk about you for a minute. We've been talking to the boys here about building homes and gutters for a second, but let's talk racing for a second, man. It was fun to see you down at the Test and Tune, getting out there and trying to get out there. And, of course, it's just like racing. Things don't always work out as they are planned, and that's racing, and no matter if it's a boat or on wheels. But it's been one of those years already, but I bet you're excited to be getting back out. What got you going into racing?
Yeah, so we've talked about this a little bit, but hear it from a different angle. I mean, I love boat racing and have since 2007, but that wasn't how I started. I really started with radio control, and you heard Jay talk about the relationship that I had with Nels Ainquist, and for me, it was really about becoming a marketing guy for boat racing and really trying to drive boat racing back into the forefront again. And so, trying to figure out how do we do that from a marketing perspective? How do we do that from promoting the drivers? And then the driver that I was attached to, Harold Mills, retired that next year. And I was like, man, okay. I had some great ideas about how we can market the sport, but he retired. So I thought, well, in 2007, I took a boat out, made it around the course, and, the rest is history. But one of the things that I'm really focused on is how do we get our names out there as drivers? And so, Eric, you and I, this is our second podcast. These types of venues mean a lot. It gives us a chance to tell our story. I think Jay and Keith were very shy on what kind of work they do. They do amazing work. If you ever go to boitanohomes.com or guttersbykeith.com, you'll see the craftsmanship they do. And so, beautiful homes. These are homes that belong on the Street of Dreams and probably have been there before. So I think it's important for us to tell those stories. And then, you link that to racing. And yeah, racing, like you said, there are some are pushing the little boat 440 fast. It was designed. And
yep.
we're doing that, run into some challenges. But boy, I'm so proud of the team. So I am a part of Bucket Racing. We have two in Bucket Racing, the U440, which is the one I drive, and then the U40 Eccles drives. And one of the things I love is that it doesn't matter which boat it needs help. Everyone rolls up their sleeves. And so that includes drivers, that includes crew, that includes owners, that includes everybody. And so I'd imagine it's a little bit like the way Jay work together. You got a project to work on. You want to make sure you put your best foot forward. That's what we're going to do, regardless of the challenges. Without loading concrete, he was getting ready to jump on this call, so challenges come, but we all just kind of roll up our sleeves and bring.
Yeah, and that's where I think the racing and the house building thing comes together because, there's so many similarities in that because, it is a team sport. And if you've got weak members on the team, it hurts the whole team. But the interesting thing is you're right. I was watching them trying to figure out those electrical harness issues that you had on the test and tune day. Yeah. And man, everybody from your team, you had other teams over there kind of looking, going, hey, is there something we can do to help? Right. And it's still a community, and those things cross over really well as between building and racing because it's that same team atmosphere, and everybody's heading in the same direction.
Yeah, and that is a great example. Trying to figure out what we do. And I remember Adam, who's our turbine builder, he was trying to figure out, are there any parts that cross over from one boat to another? There weren't. So, we did have to sit out, but all the wiring's been replaced. And so we're ready. The really amazing thing out of that, we had never planned to go to Guntersville, Alabama. I was a session, then Tri-Cities in Seattle. Before the week, for the day, come talk to me, talk to you first. Like, sure. Yep. And I wasn't sure what he was going to say, but, I knew it was disappointing we didn't get out. And he said, we're going to figure it out, but we're going to take the boat to Guntersville. And I think my jaw just dropped. I did not expect them to want to take the boat all the way across country at laps. And it's not like you just drop this in Lake Washington to run. Yep. Do it at a single race. And we were able to get 8 of our laps, 8, and we need 7 more. So we have a little bit more to get, but we're on our way.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, of course, your teammate has a pretty amazing blowover that blew up on TMZ that made it so everybody had to get back to building, it looked like.
Yeah. So, number one, just glad Dustin's okay. And
amen.
It's weird because the last time we had to talk about a blowover with Corey, and so now we got Yeah, so Dustin's fine, really glad that he's okay. I think the reason it blew up was because he landed a perfect 360. Now, I will say a perfect 360 when the boat weighs 65 pounds, it caused a damage. So the team has been going through and replacing stringers that, kind of pulled everything apart. Madison loaned us their on the boat, and we just returned the weekend. So the team is working every day now until Tri-Cities to make sure we're together, but it's on schedule. And I think thing and TMZ, and I know I saw one video with over 500,000 views. Things people do watch, and I think Dustin's got a lot of new fans and followers just to see him go through that and come back. And you watch, though. He's gonna be the dark horse in the Gold Cup. He's going to
No
bring.
question. Yeah, that's a fast boat. I mean, that's a really fast boat.
It is.
So, well, Jay, I want to ask you, what's it like building in, in the Seattle metropolitan area versus how it was 20 years ago?
I don't know if it's a lot different. It's just a lot more expensive. But, it's kinda land. Well, I build over on the east side, in Bellevue and Sammamish and Redmond, and prices are just crazy high, and I do spec homes, so I buy lots and I turn around and sell them. And right now the market's slowed down a bit for this year, but it's not a whole lot different other than, we just try and do our best. My name's on there for one.
Yep.
It's not Columbia Homes or something else. It's Boytown Homes. So my name's on it. And I want people to respect that. And I got to, live up to that reputation too. So.
Well, you guys have had a strong reputation because, I spent, almost 15 years living in the area up there, and I was designing kitchens and baths and doing that out there for more luxury projects. But you've always had that name of just a solid quality home builder up there, and considerably different than some of the other guys that come in that are the national brands that come in and are just throwing stuff up left and right, and maybe isn't as concerned about all the details that go into it.
Absolutely, yeah. And I appreciate you saying that. That makes me feel good. But I don't say the name. No. A lot of national builders just kind of throw them up and sell them, and we're not that way. I walk through every house. I'm involved in every phase of it. So, So.
Yeah, it's amazing these days too. And I just want to say, homes like yours out there where you've really got those details, they're so much more important than they were 30 years ago because we didn't have to build all these like super energy efficient homes that were, really tight, that all those details really mattered as much on. If you had a little air leakage, who cares? The house was designed for it. These days, you got to build a completely different home, right?
Exactly. And, just going through all the jurisdictions and all the red tape you got to go through nowadays too on everything. It's wearing us out a little bit. But, there's so much of that. But, I love building. It's so creative. I just love it,
Yeah.
Like you said, bringing guys together. It's like coaching a football team. Bring guys together. You pat some on the back. You yell at a few. You put it all together, and you win a few games. So.
It's that same team effort, man. It's that same, and it's just, and all it takes is for one person, like the foundation person, to make a mistake, and that carries through the whole process. It's, the whole project, because you're having to deal with it. So it's the same thing when something happens on any other team out there. One person makes a mistake and everybody else has to carry the load to help fix it and get it across the finish line.
Exactly. Yeah.
So that's awesome. So, Brent, I wanted to ask you, so what do you see, this year for, hydroplane racing? We got, 2 more races this season?
Yeah.
And I think it's going to get down to be a knockdown drag amount, in my opinion. But what's your take on the next 2 races here in the Pacific Northwest?
Yeah, it's a pick 'em. You really, you could draw straws to figure out who's going to win. I think we've got some boats that corner better. Dustin has now the record in Gunnersville for the fastest lap, and I think I remember them saying he's one of the top 5 people that have a lap over 170 miles an hour. Dustin's super fast.
Well,
the strong racing team is in there too. I mean, obviously different drivers, and Corey looked good before breaking his stride. So it's a pick 'em, and then you've got Amy Nielsen, who's he's been doing an amazing job of getting lane his timing mark, and so he's really been out there. And Jay's going to tease me because he'll be like, "Well, what about Brent Hall?" And so Brent Hall is getting qualified, and that's definitely a big part of it. See, here you go.
The U440 he's going to have a little Boycano luck this year. So
there we go.
Luck out there. Not all skill. You got to have some luck.
That's right.
You're going to have a little luck.
So you need to know.
I'm with Jay.
His nickname is Lucky, because I swear every boat that he's been on has done way better than expected. Like I remember the first year with Webster's, we said, Jay, you're not going to win any heats. Just enjoy the fanfare. And what do? They go out and win a heat. And then there was that. And then, had lots of success the years with Webster's. And then, when he jumped to Boitano, it was like, well, there's a lot of competition out there. Home Street's looking really fast. Who took home the Seafair Cup? And so,
yep.
Funny story, Jay, he said, go pick up the check, and it's in my office. And of course, it's right under the Seafair trophy. So he's very trophy. I had to take a quick picture of.
Nice.
We have a lot of fun with this. We just love it. It's a good time of year.
That is great. And the cool thing too here is that, how many times over the last 10 years have we seen a piston powered boat win a heat or win a race? And so you can't sit there and go, well, I got the smaller boat. Yeah, you do. But you know something? Even the piston boats can win, which means you're faster than they are, my friend.
Yeah. Well, and actually, so I have it's just to clarify, I have a T53 turbine. And so helicopter, and the interesting thing about this boat is it has a lot of torque. So it accelerates faster than the bigger boat. The challenge is the weight. It's about 4,000 pounds, and the other ones are 6,500. So going into the corners, I have to be really careful. But at the same time, like you said, hey, anything can happen, and it's exciting stuff. I'm really beyond grateful to be in one of the 9 seats in Tri-Cities, and then we're hoping it's going to be 11 seats for the Gold Cup. And boy, that's a big deal. We've been waiting since, I think the last time the Gold Cup was here, 85. So it's been a long time. Really want to celebrate that with the city and Seafair, and just make sure we make it a really big deal.
Yeah.
I've got a guy, a PSC guy here. Peter Sanders showing up at this house here, so I might have to talk to him.
Duty calls.
Jay.
Yeah.
I just want to say, too, I'm excited that Keith Bernasconi's on with us, too. He's going to have a lot of fun down there. That's what it's all about. He's going to come down for 3 days and we'll have a lot of fun at Seafair.
There we go. So, Jay, how do people find you, man? If they want to find your website, I know you got to go, but how do people track you down out there? Look at your homes.
Oh, word of mouth. BoitanoHomes.com is my website.
All right, there's your house builder here for you guys out there. And Jay, I'll let you get going, man. You got to get to your clients and duty calls. So you go ahead and jump on that, and we're just going to continue on with the party, my friend.
Sounds good. Thanks, guys.
Thanks for coming on today, man.
Talk to you. See ya. Bye-bye.
Hey, Eric, that's a intro to Keith. And I said that's a perfect intro to Keith and what we call the sponsor, and love to just engage with Keith a little bit and just hear his thoughts and insight. But we have what's called a fan tail, where you're part of the community, you want to help the boat go. Have a few fan tail sponsors on there, so we've got like Les Schwab and Keith. His name will be right above that, and so it's exciting.
It's real exciting to be involved, especially with Jay Boitano.
And so, Keith, I was really excited
act, and
you were wanting to jump on board, and maybe just what are some of the things that you'd love to get out of the quality, weekend?
Everything.
Maybe we'll start there.
And so I'm blessed to be able to be involved with him, and he was doing the Boitano hydroplane race sponsorship, and so that's kind of how I got on, and it's just exciting.
Yeah, that is great. So what are you seeing out there in the world of gutters these days, man? It seems like it's super competitive out there, and of course, sounds like you're tackling the east side of the Seattle metropolitan area.
No, we pretty much cover all of King County. We're based out of Ucla. I started doing gutters in 1987 for another company, and started Gutters by Keith in 1991. And ever since 91, we specialized in doing all the hardest houses in King County. We've done a lot of Street of Dreams houses for decades, and we're just still doing the gutter thing.
Love it, man. Well, how has that changed over the years? Is building code changed? Are there any challenges that you're seeing now compared to where you were, halfway through your career 20 years ago?
Yeah, there was a lot of changes. Well, number one is traffic. Back in the 90s, I used to be able to bid like 20 houses in a day. because I would run around and look at the houses. And I only had people would call and leave messages. And, and I'd return the messages. I'd go out and hang gutter all day, come back, return the messages. But now it's way different. You got people sending you emails. You got people texting you pictures of jobs. You got people leaving messages on your cell phone. You got people leaving messages on your landline. People try contacting you on Facebook. I mean, so it's a different, it's really a different world from what it was back then.
Yeah. Yeah, and it seems like with new construction homes, too, that they've changed some building code as well and made it so that gutter system is much more involved into a drainage system than just dropping it off at the foundation that they did 30 years ago.
Yeah, they have a lot of underground drains, so they do that when the foundation's done so that it controls all the water and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, and in a lot of those houses, when it rains, there's a lot of valleys and corners. And, it's really important to control that water.
Yeah.
So
Keith, what do you think? I got to ask you, and this is one of the things that my audience is always asking. There's always the gutter guard battles out there, man. I mean, every 15 minutes there's somebody else on the TV saying that they got the best gutter guards out. What's your opinion on that stuff?
Well, there's about 100 different products out there.
Yep.
And none of them work like they say on TV. And then if you believe their lie where you never have to clean your gutters again, then the homeowner, the wife's willing to pay 5 times as much money so that her husband doesn't have to get on the roof or on a ladder. When reality, there's really no such thing as 100% never clean your gutter, or unless you have like a 412 comp and, there's just maple leaves, because every scenario is different. You have different trees, different types of pine needles, different pitches of roof. Some are valleys, some are hips. A lot of the products, they will prolong the maintenance. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you still got to do some maintenance. Like if you have inside valleys, that's like a trough, ends up being a catch-all. So there's still stuff that, it'll prolong the maintenance. So you just don't have to clean a bunch of muck, but you still have some stuff to do. And I'm always honest with our customers and tell them if certain houses, and I'll explain to them and show them where they're going to have to keep them cleaned out and where they're still going to have issues.
Keith, I love your truth bomb, brother. That is awesome, because that is just as plain as it is. Those, especially in the Pacific Northwest here, where our little fir needles love to go everywhere, and I don't care what system they are, they're going to figure out a way around it, right?
Yeah.
So,
yep.
Well done. Well done. And, that's one of those things, too, that, I love that, because you're right. There's so many companies on there, and you're right. There's 100 of them out there that you'll never do it again. There's no such thing that you can't ever clean again. It's not how it works in art. It's going to be outside. It's got to get cleaned.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. There's, like I say, it prolongs the maintenance, but you over a period of time, you still have some issues, to take care of. It's not, like I say, every situation's a little different, but it does prolong from having to clean the gutters every year.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. So, man, I can't wait to see your logo on the side of Brent's Hydroplane there. That's going to be good to see, man. Are you excited to see that out there in the water?
Yeah, I'm really excited. Yep.
That's going to be cool.
Yeah, it's going to be really cool.
I'm going to be heading down to the Tri-Cities for Columbia Cup down there, so I'll be watching. Looking forward to seeing them down there. That's going to be a lot of fun. And, man, 2 great weekends of racing coming up for the Pacific Northwest. And, this is one thing, too, guys. And we have a lot of listeners across the country, and in the podcast, it goes internationally. A lot of this stuff gets live streamed as well over on the H1 site and stuff. So if you want to experience this and you're like, hey, man, I'm in Florida. Guess what, Florida? You got a place to watch this, too. So this is something that you can tune in and look. And I'll be sharing that stuff up on my social media as well so people can catch it. So that way here, we're going to have 2 good weekends of racing that you'll be able to catch no matter where you're at, because you can stream it.
Yeah, boy, Eric, I want to double click on that. We really are trying to get the sport out there front and center. So you're right. We have the H1 YouTube channel. And so live streaming there, Brad Luce and Jeff Ayler, some amazing announcers. There's a special guest announcer that will be ready for Seafair that I'm not supposed to tell that. Yeah, so really excited about that. And then we also are working with a company called Speed Sport One. And they're going to do like back in the day, ESPN, where they would kind of package the race weekend and put it in a 30-minute segment. They're going to do that. And then they also want to bring a little more of that reality, like the behind the scenes of what happens with these different boat race teams and everything that went on, you know, behind the scenes when a boat blows over, you know, families worried. I think there's just a lot that people don't get to see on, you know, if you go to the shore or you happen to watch the telecast. And we're trying to bring those stories too. And then definitely, you know, not only that, but watch all the teams' pages. And you can find those through H1 Unlimited. Our Facebook page is Bucket Racing. I have my own as Brent Hall Racing. But boy, could you imagine if Bill Muncie had a Facebook page? Oh, man, I think, yeah, I would be on that, checking him out, you know, seeing what he has to say. And, you know, we really have a new opportunity to push content out that people want to experience and enjoy. And, you know, sometimes I help out with moderating the page, and we interact directly with fans. And they'll say, you know, their opinion, you know, we'll give facts. But, boy, it's amazing to be able to interact with fans in that way.
You know, you bring up an excellent point. And I got to bring this up for Keith as well. But this is the most accessible sport from the fan perspective in professional sports, because you guys are out there, you're hitting the crowds, it's not hard to get into the pits. You know, you can get over there and experience this. Yep. And there's so many different stories that are being told. It's fascinating to watch. I mean, as a kid, I grew up in the Tri-Cities. I was down for Columbia Cup. Like Keith, I was living up off Canal Drive, so I would wake up in the mornings on like a Thursday or Friday morning when they're out testing. I would get woken up by those Allison engines and Rolls-Royce Merlins out there just waking me up in the morning, and it was awesome. And once you get the bug, it doesn't go away.
It doesn't. And so, Keith, I know it's been a while since you've been down to Seafair, so we're excited to bring you down. We're going to make sure you get the VIP treatment. You'll get a chance to meet the drivers, get to see the crew, and we love to do that for fans too. So I would just say, if you're interested in a great experience, definitely stop by Bucket List Racing, but any of the teams really will want you to engage with us, want you to understand about the sport, happy to explain how things work. And you know, when we were in Guntersville, we really made some magic moments. And that was one of my goals, was how do we make magic moments for the fans, whether it's getting kids to sit in the boat. We were able to do that, you know, within the guidelines there. We had a hydroplane simulator where kids got a chance to test out driving a hydroplane and learn how to work the thing. I think the top speed, and he reminded me on Facebook, was 178. So if he's listening, I know your top speed. And, you know, it was pretty cool. So I love that we're able to engage with that way. Kids are reading. We have a program called Racing to Read. And kids are reading to get free tickets to Seafair. So that's another great thing that we're doing.
Man, that is great. And yeah, it's such a great family atmosphere where, you know, you can take the family down, watch it, have a good time. You know, there's beer gardens and things for parents to that are thirsty to get something to drink, but it's just something you can take the whole family to and just make it a great event, because tell you what, those kids absolutely love watching racing with that. And I think I've seen races from, you know, NASCAR to Indy to everything else. There is nothing like a kid watching the boats. It just seems to be such a fascinating thing to children.
Yep. I couldn't agree more. You know, when you come by the area, hero cards at the driver's sign, there's a new page that has a cutout of every hydroplane. So if you want to make those into the little hydroplanes that you either put up on your shelf, or you can even make them bigger and tow behind your bike like Keith did. We're really trying to figure out new ways to engage kids. So just ask us. We're happy to share.
That's great. And that's what I think is great with the sport that's taken off right now. It's really seeming to get, the sport has gone through a lot of different changes over the years, and many people go, well, boy, it's the good old days. Well, I think those good old days are like many of good old days that you think back to, but back then, in what many people call the good old days of hydroplane racing, there was one competitive boats or two competitive boats, and if they could finish, they would win. And I think right now that for people to go out and check, right now it's a much tighter sport because you didn't have two boats that were extremely well funded and could throw money at everything. And now you've got much more parity within the sport, which to me makes for better racing.
You bet it does. Yeah. So no, I think people are in for a real treat. See some competitive racing, to fall in love with the drivers, and pick your favorite. There's ones that you love to love and ones that you might love to hate, and that's all right. Just watch us, So I think that's what it's all about. But boy, any way that we can engage fans and just have people excited about Steve Bear again, plugging in online, plugging in on TV, or plugging in, come on down. It's amazing.
Yeah, no question. I mean, it's funny. You say love to hate. I had that same thing because I was either a Budweiser or a Squire Shop kid in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, and the Bill Muncies and the Chip Hanauers were my nemesis. That was the one that I was like, oh man, they took it again. And so it's funny how you can easily you can grab some great people, and that's your nemesis of who you want to beat.
Yes. Yeah. And I think, it's who you latch onto, and you'll see, like, when you look at the Facebook page, the passion that the fans have for their different boat teams or the teams that they're competitive against. And you know what? I've said this before, but, love us or hate us, as long as you're talking about us, that's what matters.
Well, I will say that was one of the things that I think that helped, even though, Dustin had a wild ride. I'm so happy he didn't have a hurt back out of that, because when you land on your tail like that can be pretty bad and cause some long-term injuries. So I'm so happy he came out okay. But the added bonus of that was that there was just enough video for that to go viral, and so
from every angle, right? From the shore, there were so many different angles of it. TMZ actually only caught the end of it, so I wish, we could have gotten them a better video. But Pat McAfee, I guess he took it. That went viral. He had a story about it. And I love that people who aren't always involved with the race get excited about it. His version of what happened with the flip was hilarious. And so I would just encourage you to go check that out. But there's so many different videos out on our A1 page, our Bucket List Race page, and and I'm going to kind of circle back to why we do this. And so, boy, one, the camaraderie that the team has. So I'm going to speak specifically to Bucket List Racing. When you get down to that shop, everyone is, hey, how can I help? What can I do? Really trying to roll up their sleeves and figure out, how do we get this boat right in Seattle? Most are volunteers, right? Yep. So they're coming in on their own time, getting up their own summers. Super hot outside, making it happen. But man, we have fun and we laugh. We tease each other a lot. And I think that's worthwhile. But some of that behind the scenes, I think we're going to capture some of that and share that out, just so we're a bunch of characters, definitely ones to follow.
Oh yeah, and I saw that too with your team sitting down, and the other teams as well. I don't want to speak any bad about all the teams are that way, so I want to make sure I'm really clear with that. But your team, you guys are going through the struggles of trying to, again, you'll spend 4 weeks in a shop and it's running perfectly. As soon as you pull it up in front of the dock there in the crane, that's where the gremlins pop out. And sure enough, that's what happened. But watching your team under pressure and be cool and collected and go, we're going to get this, we're going to figure out what it is, and we're going to do everything we could. And it was just a cool team thing to watch with everybody diving in. And that says a lot to the sport.
Yeah, it does. And, I think what you saw, you didn't see anyone swearing or throwing tools, like that. It's like, hey, let's figure it out. I remember when they had the blowover last year, and they were giving out pieces of the boat to fans. I think Little Brent got one, and I was like, wow. But they were so matter of fact of, hey, that's what happened. Let's move forward. I was like, wow, Taylor, that's a cool guy. So Taylor, and I'll just speak a couple names. Taylor, crew chief, overall crew chief. Mike Limler is the crew chief for the 440, and just the way they lead, very thoughtful but direct too.
Yeah.
We got stuff to do. Everyone has to have their job and know their job so that we don't make mistakes. A mistake can be catastrophic. So yes, I will say that we have fun, but boy, at the same time, everyone's very serious about what they do.
No question.
Yeah.
We've only got a few minutes left here, so I don't want to take up too much of your time. Keith, I got to ask you, if somebody's looking for gutters in the King County, Seattle area, where do they find you at? So it sounds like from what you were saying earlier, we had Facebook, we had what's the best way for people to track you down?
Call our landline, 360-802-0355. And my wife, Nancy, a lot of times answers the phone. She's the one the glue that holds everything together. So she makes me look good. And then our email, gutters by Keith at guttersbykeith.com.
There we go.
Or guttersbykeith.com.
And Keith, as
guttersbykeith.com.
There we go. And Keith, I got to say, as a fan, and this is going out to Jay too, because I'm sure he'll hear this as well, this sport cannot be happening without people like you stepping up to support these teams. So as the host of Around the House, I got to say thank you guys for what you're doing, because that is continuing a sport and creating legends like Brent Hull is about to be here on his first season. So this is how the legends are made. And it's guys like you that step up that already have your business day jam-packed full of stuff, but you have the vision to go, hey, I'm going to support this and I'm going to bring this to the community, and hats off to you guys for doing what's right in my eyes and supporting this great, great sport.
Well, thank you very much. Excited to enjoy the hydros.
Oh, yeah.
And
absolutely.
Yep. And if anybody ever needs gutters, guttersbykeith.com.
There we go. That's it right there. Brent, for the last minute or so here, buddy, what we got racing coming up? What's the best way for people to find you?
Yeah, sure. So you can find us on Facebook, Brent Hall Racing. Also, team page is Bucket Racing, and then our overarching organization is H1 Unlimited. Those are all Facebook, but I think you'd find those things on Instagram here as well, so you're welcome to go to those channels. You just may find me more on Facebook, that's all.
Keith, thanks for coming on. Brent Hall Racing and Bucket List Racing. Brother, thanks for coming on today, my friend.
My pleasure, and thanks for telling our stories. You have no idea how much that means.
No problem, man. And I'll see you here coming up at Columbia Cup. Looking forward to catching you up with you there. So, all right, I'm Eric G, and you've been listening to Around the House.
Somewhere unseen and undiscovered, anywhere beyond the mean. Life is a love song, let's be lovers. We're all over the radio. Take my hand, I know where to go. All over the radio with you. We're all over the radio.
Hey, it's Eric G from Around the House. Are you planning a decking or siding project this year? If you are, you've got to check out my friends at Millboard. Millboard is a completely different kind of composite decking and cladding that enhances outdoor spaces with enduring distinction. Hand-molded from the finest oak, it realistically mimics the natural grain and color of premium hardwood. If you're looking for something that doesn't look like plastic and instead real wood, check out millboard.com. Make sure and check out that interview we did just a few weeks back. That's millboard.com.